Alright, in this video, I'm just going to go over the study guide with you for those friends who have their at-home days before the test and won't have me in person to help you. So this video will help you out with that. Make sure you've completed it first, right? Like, it's not going to help you do better on the test if you just copy the answers. So I want you to try them, check them, try them again, and let's get started. Okay. And luckily, it's just one page today. So make sure you're on the Unit 2 review in your packet on page 15. Okay. It starts with state whether the product or quotient will always or never be positive. Explain how you know. And write an example. Okay. So first we have a positive times a positive. That is going to be a positive. So like 3 times 5 is 15. We'll say always positive. Okay, so if they have the same sign, they are positive. So a negative and a negative, two negatives, those have the same sign, and it will always be positive, right? Same sign will be positive. So like negative 10 times negative 2 would be positive 20. Okay, so same signs, when we're multiplying or dividing, we'll have a positive answer. Okay, a positive and a negative, those are different signs, and the answer will always be negative. So like 7 times negative 4 is negative 28. Different signs will be negative. Even if we flip them, if the negative comes first and the positive, those are different signs, so your answer is always negative. So if we have like a negative 5 times positive 5, negative 25. So same signs are positive, different signs are negative. Okay, then to find the product or the quotient, we multiply first, and then we figure out the sign. So I'm going to blow them up a little bit. So negative 20 times negative 17. I'm going to start with 20 times 17. 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 2 is 14. Okay, since I'm done in the ones place, I'm going to put a 0 in the ones place and move on to the tens. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 4 is 4. Sorry, 1 times 2 is 2. 0 plus 0 is 0. 4 plus 0 is 4. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay? Then to find my final answer, I have to figure out, is it positive or negative? Well, both numbers are negative, so they have the same sign. So my answer is positive 340. Okay? So for fractions, just remember we're going to multiply across. Top times top and bottom times bottom. So 2 times 4 is 8. Over 3 times 5 is 15. And remember that this dot right here in the middle, that means multiply. Okay, and then reduce whenever possible. 8 and 15 don't share any factors. And I have a positive times a negative. Those are different signs, so my answer is negative 8/15. Okay. 152 over negative 4. Remember that the fraction bar means to divide. There we go. So 152 goes inside and 4 goes on the outside. 4 goes into 15 3 times. Okay, 5 minus 2 is 3. The 2 comes straight down to 32. 4 goes into 32 8 times. Yes, with a remainder of 0. So 38 is our number component. And we have a positive divided by a negative. Those are different signs, so my answer is negative 38. Okay. Decimals, the first number goes inside. So 2.5 goes inside the little division house. And 0.5 goes outside. Then we have to move the decimal on the outside enough times that it comes after all of the numbers in, on the outside. So we move it one time, so that means I have to move the inside one time as well. They have to match. So this becomes 5 divided by 25, which is 5. And a negative divided by a positive is a negative 5. Okay, multiplying decimals. Remember that we pretend like the decimals are not in there. So 1, 1, 2, 5 times 12. Okay, 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 1 is 2. I'm done in the ones place, so I'm going to put a 0 in the ones place. Move on to the tens. 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 1 is 1. We add them together. Okay, 0 plus 0 is 0, 5 plus 5 is 10, 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 2 is 5, 2 plus 1 is 3, and then 1. Okay, then to figure out where the decimal goes, we count how many numbers come after a decimal in my problem. There's 1, 2, 3 numbers after a decimal in my problem. So starting from the end, going left, there needs to be 1, 2, 3 numbers after a decimal in my answer. Okay, then we have a positive times a negative, which is going to be a negative 13.5. Okay, so for fractions, to divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we keep the first one, switch to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction. So remember, that's called multiplying by the reciprocal. And then we can just multiply across like normal. 1 times 9 is 9. 7 times 4 is 28. Okay, then a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 9 over 28. 9 and 28 don't share anything. So we are done there. Alright. So the product of three numbers is negative. How many of the numbers can be negative? Okay. Let's break this one down on the side. So I know that I'm taking this number times this number times this number, and it's going to be negative. So I know that a negative times a positive is a negative. So that means that this number should be positive, and these two multiplied together should be a negative. So we're going to call this first one positive. Okay, then I need two numbers times each other that are going to be a negative. Well, numbers with different signs are negative, which means that there's a negative and a positive. So when I have an odd amount of numbers being multiplied together, one of them has to be negative. And we can double check, not even doing like the number math, but just thinking about it. So we have a negative times a positive is a negative. This one's a positive. A positive times a negative is going to be a negative. So it does work. Okay, 4 integers whose product is positive. So if I'm multiplying 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, and I want their answer to be positive, well, I know that two numbers with the same sign will be positive. So that means that these two numbers need to, whatever their answer is, needs to match the sign of these two numbers. So you could do all negatives, right? Because these two multiplied would be positive, these two multiplied would be positive, and multiplying those together would get you to a positive. They could be all positive. Or you could do a pair of a positive and a negative, and a positive and a negative. Right, because this is going to be a negative times a negative, which is positive, and gets you to that positive result. So let's do one of these. So let's do positive 7 times negative 9 times 1 times negative 12. That would have a positive answer. So as long as it has an even number of positives and negatives. Alright, last but not least, we have a word problem. You are playing laser tag. The table here shows how many points you gain when you tag or are tagged by another player. You are tagged 3 times on the back, twice on the shoulder, and twice on the laser. How many points do you have? Okay. 3 times on the back, 2 times on the shoulder, and 2 times on the laser. So 3. Every time you get tagged on the laser, you lose 12 points. And then you're tagged 2 times on the shoulder. So minus 12 points when you're tagged on the shoulder. And then minus 25 points. Oh, wait. Sorry, I read that wrong. let's regroup. I started at the bottom. Okay, let's start here. 3 times on the back. So 3 times, every time you're tagged on the back, you will lose 25 points. So minus 25. Then you get tagged 2 times on the shoulder, where you lose 12 points. Then you get tagged 2 times on the laser, where you lose 12 points for that. Okay? So order of operations is parentheses, exponents, multiply or divide, add or subtract. Nothing's happening inside of my parentheses other than just saying that they're holding this number. Okay. I don't have any exponents, so I'm going to start with multiplying. Here I have 3 times negative 25. So I'm going to do 25 times 3, 15, carry the 1, 2 plus 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So this would be negative 75 points. 3 times 25 is 75. Positive times a negative is a negative. Oops. I have 2 times negative 12. 2 times 12 is 24. A positive times a negative is a negative. So plus negative 24. And then I know I'm going to get the same answer for this because it's the same problem. So plus another negative 24. Okay, now we're going to add or subtract, starting left to right. Negative 75 plus negative 24. Our addition rules say that if they're the same signs, we add and keep the sign. So 75 plus 24 is 99, and it's negative. So this is going to be negative 99 plus negative 24. Then again, they have the same sign. They're both negative, so I'm going to add them together. 9 plus 4 is 13. 1 plus 9 is 10, plus 2 is 12. And then they're both negative, so my answer will stay negative 123 points. Alright, that is it. So make sure that you're doing that you've done all of the homework that goes with it. There's practice activities in the back of your packet. So make sure you're all caught up, and that will help you also to prepare for your test. Doing great. See you this time.